Good morning, Ozarks. Welcome again to Dollars and Cents. I'm here with financial expert Bruce Porter, bringing you a weekly wisdom bomb, and we'll be back with this week's right after this.
Putting the client first. That was my main priority some 20 years ago when I started the Resource Center, and it remains my priority today. That's why I wrote Finding the Courage to Retire, to help guide you confidently along a journey that should be the most rewarding of your life, from creating sustainable income and preservation strategies to understanding Social Security, Medicare, and much more. This book is the retirement roadmap you need. To get your free copy, just call or email our office today.
And we are back.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
How's your wing?
It's still hurting. I'm
healing?
I'm very concerned that I've reached a plateau of recovery.
Yeah.
Which means there's probably something else going on in there other than just the bone fracture, which is probably a rotator cuff injury, which I'm pretty sad about because I don't really want to have rotator cuff surgery.
Yeah, you know there's ways they can take your blood out, spin it, add some stuff to it, and put it back in.
I don't think that fixes your rotator cuff, though.
It can help.
Can it?
It helps the healing process.
I'm pretty sure that's what Shauna does for me every Friday at Nourished Wellness Center right here in town.
Yeah,
so,
well,
something like that. Anyway, I know.
Anything but surgery, but it's not the end of the day if you have to have surgery. I've had it done on both my shoulders. Painful. The therapy is more painful than the surgery. I don't remember the surgery.
Yeah, just the time commitment after. Yeah, I remember you had yours done.
Yeah, I had therapy on one about 9 months, but I wanted full motion. So, and it's costly. You got to remember that. Insurance is going to cover a few months or a few sessions, let's say 6 or 8.
Yep.
Then you're on your own after that.
Well, that'll be all right.
Anyway.
I'll kick in my Taekwondo training, and we'll do that for a little rehab there. We'll punch the bag and stuff. But.
Yeah. So, golly, some words of wisdom today. We're starting a brand new year. We've talked about budgeting. We've talked about things like that. And I've been pretty pleased with our workshop results.
Yeah,
we have had a packed house for January and February, and we have 4 workshops in March just because of demand. So we got a lot of folks coming in, and the trends that I'm seeing right now, even with some retirees, are hanging on to some debt. I've had several folks in that, we're helping them get their house in order, you might say. And I'm kind of surprised how many people are hanging on to some debt, credit card and otherwise, that are paying some astronomical interest rates. So I think we focus on that a little bit today. We talked about budgeting here a couple of weeks ago, making sure you have a handle on where your money is going, down to the penny. I think it's important that you know where your money is going. Now, once you do that, though, and you discover, hey, I'm spending a lot of money on this credit card or this debt, I think it's got to be a priority. I don't think you could put money in a savings account to build up your reserve until you get that debt ritired. Yeah. And I think you need to curtail any outside spending on luxury items like going out to eat, things like that. I think you got to curtail that until you get debt under control, because interest will eat your lunch. And if you're retired and on a fixed income and you've retained some debt, which I've run into that even this week, the very first thing that we have to figure out is how to get rid of that debt as fast as possible.
Because that is your highest rate of return on your investment. Yeah,
absolutely.
There's no point in going out and getting excited about a 5% CD when you're paying 10% or higher on a credit card.
Or 18.
Yeah.
Who cares what you're getting on a bank CD? You're paying 3 times as much maybe on a credit card debt.
Much better ROI.
And you'd be a lot better off to pay that debt off. So,
it doesn't feel as good, though. That's the problem. It doesn't feel as good.
Yeah, and that's that's bass-ackwards thinking.
Oh, sure.
Because that's how people stay broke.
Yeah.
If you want to be unbroke, get rid of your debt first, and then you'll have more discretionary money to save.
Now, there is, though, maybe a little bit of wisdom in having a couple $1,000s back for an emergency just so you don't have to go back to that debt, maybe?
Yeah, and that's, there can be. It depends on how you prioritize your debt. It depends on a lot of things. How sustainable is your income? If you have good, sustainable, strong income, and, when you pay that debt off, remember, you have a line of credit. That doesn't mean you should use it.
Yeah, that is true.
But, when you reduce debt, the credit card company doesn't just close your account. Having open, unused credit debt or credit open available credit is almost as bad as having debt, because it can ruin your credit score. If you've got 5 or 6 credit cards and you got $50,000 worth of open credit that you're not using,
because they know you could immediately be
you could be underwater. So if you really want to help your scores, call a credit card company and cancel, close out those cards.
Boy, that's tricky, though.
Tear them up. And it is tricky. You want to make sure they're done. If you really want to double check that, run your own credit score.
Yeah, and one of your credit score factors is the length of time, the average length of time that you've had open lines of credit. And so if you close your oldest lines of credit, that actually it reduces your score. And if you do have debt, you are carrying some credit card debt, you've now reduced your available credit, which means you're using a larger percentage, and that can hurt your credit score too.
So it's a trick.
Yeah, it's a balancing act.
And I think that's the answer. I mean, you balance it out. You reduce debt, you get rid of one card if you got 2 or 3 cards, and you just fight that battle. It's too easy to go in debt. It's a lot tougher to climb out of that hole. So, I think we got to keep that in mind, because at the end of the day, tough times are coming. I think that the residual effect of irresponsible government is going to trickle down to the population, and we're going to be stuck holding the cards and holding the bag on all this idiotic government spending.
Well, it has to. I mean, it's a government by the people, which means we're the ones that have to pay for the government's debts.
And
now, we could have a government that could solve the problem. It'd be real easy, real fast to get the right government that could easily generate a strong enough economy to generate enough taxes to pay off all that debt without overly burdening the citizens. That's, of course, the fair tax we've talked about in the past. It would be very easy to solve our problem with that.
But that makes way too much sense. The government would never do that.
Well, there's too many people that it cuts off their supply of money because they use the government like an ATM machine.
Yeah, so when you have a corrupt situation, whether it's in your government, in your business, can anybody on watching us, all right, can anybody run their business exactly the way the federal government's run, and in order to stay and expect to stay in business?
I mean, if it was
absolutely not.
If there was a business that was run like the government, you wouldn't have this A credit rating. I don't know why our government has such a good credit rating. It is not a good risk. It's a terrible risk. I would not loan the government money. It seems like a bad idea.
No, it's crazy. They lower their credit rating and everybody goes and buys bonds.
Yeah,
government bond. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
My real fear is we've got an administration right now that loves to spend money, and I think they're a little bit self-restrained right now because they know there's an election coming up. I think if this administration gets put back in power, they're going to feel emboldened to really do some damage to our economy by really taxing the people, really spending the money frivolously.
Yeah, and we have a border
trouble at that point.
We have a border crisis. Did you know that?
Yeah,
They announced that last week, and Biden is running to the rescue. He's going down to. He's going to get right on top of that, but he said the problem is the Republicans are the reason we have it. So, okay.
Same like when the Republicans were in charge, we didn't have the problem.
No, the Republicans are not in charge, but they're preventing him, because they are in charge of the Congress, they're preventing him from passing some kind of goofy, idiotic border bill
they don't need
that
any
is
more money.
loaded with pork that who knows what is in that
Our
bill.
last administration didn't need all that to control the border. I don't know why this one thinks that they do. But he announced that he's making an unannounced visit to the border, which I'm not sure how that works.
Well, he's an
just saw
idiot, so, So
What do
there
you really
you go. If you disagree, prove me wrong.
Yep. Change my mind.
I'd be more than happy to hear any kind of words of wisdom out of Biden's mouth. Somebody tell me, am I missing something? That's, So here we go. We better
stop
We better quit
before we get canceled.
Well, they're not going to cancel us. We're too opinionated.
That's true.
I don't know. Maybe we're too conservative.
Hey, if you want to find out more about that, more about what's going on at the Resource Center with free financial planning advice, free estate planning advice, all that stuff, you can find out more by getting a hold of the Resource Center, 417-882-1800, or go to resourcecenterinc.com. We'll be back with Bruce Porter next week for more Dollars and Cents.
Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management and the Resource Center, Inc. are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet a particular need of an individual situation. The Resource Center, Inc. is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this podcast shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein, provided by third parties, have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by the Resource Center, Inc. This podcast is a paid placement.